History isn't just names and dates. It's a living story, echoing across forgotten battlefields. Imagine standing on a quiet hill, knowing this ground once shook with the thunder of armies. The Battle of Naissus is a tale of survival and strategy. Victory isn't always a charge. Sometimes it's a clever retreat. Emperor Claudius II faced overwhelming odds and had to outthink his enemy. The Romans turned retreat into a trap, using their enemy's confidence against them. In survival, it's not always the strongest who wins, but the one who thinks ahead. This is the story of how a desperate gamble saved Rome from the abyss. To understand Naissus, we must first understand the nightmare of the 3rd century Roman Empire. This was not the Rome of glory, but an empire tearing itself apart. 50 years of chaos, civil war, and collapse. Emperors rose and fell at dizzying speed, often killed by their own troops. The economy collapsed, emperors debased the currency, and inflation soared. As if that wasn't enough, a devastating plague swept the empire, crippling the army. Yet these men stood as the last line of defense. In this desperate world, a tough soldier named Claudius became emperor. The stage was set for a confrontation that would decide Rome's fate. The empire's survival hung by a thread. The miracle at Naissus began in the darkest of times. As Rome crumbled within, new enemies gathered at its borders. The most dangerous were the Goths. These fierce Germanic tribes, skilled in both cavalry and infantry, had long raided Roman lands. By 268 AD, their raids became a full-scale invasion, a migrating nation seeking new lands. Ancient sources speak of a massive horde, likely tens of thousands strong, overwhelming Roman defences in the Balkans and Greece. The Goths sacked cities, burned farms, and even besieged Athens. Their wild, aggressive fighting style and desperation made them a terrifying foe. Rome seemed powerless to stop them. Amid this chaos, Emperor Gallienus was assassinated, and Claudius II took command. He was a battle-hardened soldier, ready to confront the Gothic storm head-on. The fate of the empire rested on his shoulders. Claudius gathered his forces and marched to intercept the invaders. In crisis, history finds its leaders. For Rome, that was Marcus Aurelius Claudius, a soldier, not an aristocrat. Claudius rose through the ranks by merit, earning the respect of his men. When Gallienus was murdered, Claudius was proclaimed emperor amid chaos. He faced invasions on all fronts, but focused on the Gothic threat. Claudius's greatest asset was his right-hand man, Aurelian, a brilliant cavalry commander. Together they formed a perfect partnership. Claudius the strategist, Aurelian the razor-sharp executor. They were professionals, not politicians, united by a single goal: save the empire. Claudius devised the plan. Aurelian would deliver the decisive blow. Their mutual respect and shared experience forged a powerful alliance. This duo was Rome's last best hope. The campaign against the Goths unfolded in the harsh Balkan mountains, steep hills, dense forests, and treacherous passes. Roman soldiers endured grueling marches, supply shortages, and constant threat of ambush. The land itself was an enemy, testing discipline and endurance. For the Goths, the terrain offered cover for surprise attacks. For the Romans, it was a logistical nightmare. Keeping thousands fed and equipped was a monumental task. Claudius knew victory depended as much on endurance as on battle. Soldiers faced exhaustion, hunger, and fear, but trusted their commander's plan. The psychological toll was immense, but discipline held. Claudius understood he couldn't win a head-on fight. He would use the terrain and the enemy's aggression to set a trap. The Balkan wilderness would become his silent ally. Outnumbered and outmatched, Claudius chose a daring tactic, the feigned retreat. The plan was simple in theory. Make the enemy believe the Romans were fleeing, lure them into a reckless pursuit, then strike. It required absolute discipline. One slip, and the retreat could become real disaster. Near Naissus, Claudius arranged his army for battle. The fighting was fierce, but at a signal, the Roman centre appeared to break and fall back. The Goths, sensing victory, surged forward in chaotic pursuit. The Romans ran just fast enough to keep the enemy chasing. The Goths abandoned discipline, charging headlong into the unknown. Claudius had set the perfect bait. The trap was ready to spring. The retreating Romans led the Goths into a narrow valley, compressing their massive force into a tangled, vulnerable column. Suddenly, Roman legions emerged from hidden positions on the hills, unleashing a deadly barrage. The Goths, caught off guard, were attacked from both sides. Panic spread. This was Aurelian's moment. His elite cavalry charged into the rear and flanks, cutting off escape and shattering Gothic cohesion. The battle became a slaughter. Surrounded and exhausted, the Goths were overwhelmed. The feigned retreat led to total encirclement. Ancient sources claim tens of thousands were killed or captured. The Gothic army was shattered. Survivors scattered or surrendered in the months that followed. The victory at Naissus was a tactical masterpiece, Roman discipline and strategy at their finest. By pretending to lose, Claudius saved the empire. A desperate defense became an overwhelming victory. The aftermath of Naissus secured the Balkans and earned Claudius the title Gothicus Maximus. Though the war wasn't over, the foundation for recovery was laid. Claudius died of plague soon after, but his trusted commander Aurelian finished the job, restoring the empire's borders. Naissus teaches us that clever thinking can defeat brute force. Claudius used his enemies' psychology against them, turning their aggression into a fatal weakness. The feigned retreat is a metaphor. What looks like defeat can be the first step to victory. The Roman Empire was on its knees, but leaders like Claudius and Aurelian refused to surrender. They trusted their discipline and their plan, finding a way to win against the odds. The story of Naissus reminds us, setbacks aren't always defeats, they can be opportunities. Sometimes the bravest move is to step back, regroup, and strike when the moment is right. In our own lives, strategy and resilience matter as much as strength. The echoes of Naissus remind us, think differently, act boldly, and never give up. Even in the darkest times, courage and intelligence can turn the tide. The legacy of Claudius II is proof that one brilliant plan can change history.